Hi, it's Mark from Top Local. We're here with Bernie Pawlik. Pawlik Automotive in Vancouver, Vancouver's best auto service experience, 18-time winners of Best Auto Repair in Vancouver as voted by their customers. How are you doing, Bernie?
Good, good.
So we're going to talk about another Ford truck, an F-150 2013 that had spark plug replacement issues.
Yeah. Well, actually, not any issues, which is we're talking about spark plugs again in Fords, which we've talked about quite a few times because a lot of them have issues. But I'm happy to say that this one has no issues. It's basically if you're a Ford truck owner, you'll be pleased to know that spark plug replacement on this vehicle is pretty straightforward compared to some of the earlier generations of the V8s found in these trucks.
So why was this engine been in use quite a long time? Why did it need its spark plugs changed?
Well, this vehicle had 96,000 kilometers, which is about the interval for spark plug replacement. 60,000 miles if you think in terms of miles. So this engine, this is a sort of a newer design engine from Ford. It's a 5-liter, they call it Coyote engine. It's used in Mustangs and F-150s, basically, is the usage for the engine. It's basically for the Mustang, obviously it's tuned a little more for performance. For the truck, it's tuned and designed a little bit more for low-end to mid-end torque and power, which is more important in a truck than just ripping up your tires going down the street. Anyways, it's it seems to be a fairly reliable engine, and the design of it is different. It's a 4-valve per cylinder instead of 3 that they've used in a lot of previous generations. And just the design of the spark plugs, again, they're nothing silly like the type where they break in half because they used a really long tube. Basically, I like called it tube with the ground electrode that's stuck into the cylinder and seized up. And they put an adequate amount of threads in the spark plug so they didn't blow out like the generation before that. So it's actually finally well designed.
So that's some of the problems that previous generations. So no problem with, obviously no problem with this one.
No, and actually labor-wise, they're actually pretty straightforward to replace as well. The others were very time-consuming. The way the engine was designed, it took a lot of work to get the coils out, and a lot of things needed to be removed. It took several hours on some of them, especially in a van. It could be a $500 or $600 job to do a spark plug replacement in an older generation Ford van. So that's a lot of fair chunk of money. Now the interval on those was longer, but a lot of times by the time you go to change them, either the plug threads would strip out or the plugs would break and you have to do a whole bunch of extra work. So that might actually be the cheap price if you're lucky. But for this, the engine's been redesigned, so the coils are very easy to access and remove and get the plugs out. I'll just share a few photos here so you can get an idea. So here's here's the F-150 2013. Get a nice looking Ford truck, 4-door, good practical vehicle. Let's have a look at the engine. So here's the basic view of the engine. Now this is a bit of a, it's got 100,000 kilometers. It's been a well-used truck. It's pretty dusty, and so it's not the most cleanest presentation of engine. But you see your intake runners in here. It's a very low-profile engine as well, and I believe they designed a lot of this to fit under the hood of the Mustang. But it's it doesn't have that sort of high-profile intake that you found in the other generation vehicles. You've got your valve covers over here, air intake duct at the front, and we'll just have a look at the side view of the engine. So this is the right cylinder bank. You can see the ignition coils all here. Very easy to access, and the same is true on the other side. There's nothing really in the way. Unbolt them, unclip them. They come out. Spark plugs can be replaced pretty easily. So this is like a real treat. It's nice to see Ford finally making something simple like a spark plug replacement easy.
So pretty straightforward. How are these 5-liter Coyote engines?
As far as we've seen, they're pretty reliable. Haven't really run into any problems with them. Again, 2011, so it's, that's when they first started. They make them right up to present 2018 models. Pretty much all the same. I think there's a few modifications in the newest models, but so far they've been pretty reliable. Haven't heard a lot of bad things about them. We haven't seen any problems with them, but again, it's like, change your oil regularly, do the maintenance. It'll last as long as possible, and it is a complicated engine with the time. It's a overhead cam, variable valve timing. So there's there's more complexity to it than your sort of than a lot of engines, but clean oil, good maintenance, it should last a long time.
So there you go. If you're looking for service for your Ford F-150, the guys to see in Vancouver are Pawlik Automotive. You can reach them at 604-327-7112. You have to book ahead, they're busy, or check out their website, pawlikautomotive.com. We have hundreds of videos on there, or our YouTube channel, Pawlik Automotive Repair. Thanks, Bertie.
Thanks, Mark.